Great, there we go. So really quickly, we're going to walk through an agenda, but I'd like to welcome everyone to our webinar covering dynamic link strategies with OneSignal and Branch. So diving right in, our agenda, we're going to start off introducing OneSignal and Branch, some high-level overviews, and we're going to then talk about why your mobile app needs deep linking, talking about omnichannel user experience, engagement, retention, and onboarding, and talk about replacing Firebase dynamic links, and we'll have time for questions and answers towards the end. And you can also be asking questions as we go, and we'll be queuing those up to be answered towards the end. So when it comes, we're just a quick introduction. Myself, I'm Trig Goldberg, a senior solutions engineer at OneSignal, and I'm joined with Ite, which I'll let you give yourself an introduction.
Thank you, Trig. So my name is Ite. I'm the Business Development Director for Branch in EMEA, looking after all of our different partners from technology, commercial, marketing, etc.
Great. And we are really excited to have you here talking about Branch and deep links, which we think is a really exciting topic. So diving right in, let's just talk about OneSignal briefly. OneSignal, of course, is an omni-channel marketing solution that helps you maximize engagement, minimize churn. We have, among other tools and products, Journeys tool, which allows you to manage messages and take action, sending push, email, SMS messages, in-app messages to execute your marketing and transactional messaging use cases. And we're going to dive right into Branch.
Thank you. So Branch is a mobile linking and attribution platform. So we are here to solve everything that is related to your mobile journey. So Branch was formed back in 2014 in order to solve the question of user optimization or experience on mobile application, as in how you solve the movement from one app to another and make that streamlined. We started with mobile linking, which is what we call nowadays deep linking. Actually, Branch was the first company to invent the concept of deep linking by creating linking based on contextual targeting and diversion between the apps. Later with years, we added the MMP capability, which is basically the attribution part built on all of those links and how to attribute different success, whether it's installs or different activities, to the different channels where those links came from.
Great. Now, let's just interject a little poll question here. And we're curious if the audience is currently using Firebase dynamic links. So love to see yes or no. And the poll is in progress. Give it a second to run. And we can kind of go through the count there as we go down the line here. So that'll be interesting to see the results. So obviously, why are we here today? Why do you need mobile app deep linking? What's the big value? And we're going to dive right into that.
So when you think about deep linking, the whole concept of it is basically to act as a bridge, take you from one app to another. And it sounds very simple, but when you dive down into the mobile ecosystem, you realize that mobile apps are not built the same as web. So to create a link that will drive you from one app, which each app is built differently, has their own protocol, and is basically acting as a walled garden. So in order to do some sort of an activity in one app, especially advertising, promotions, or any other type of user passing type of activity, you need to somehow break that wall, move into another app, and within that app, you also need to tap into the right context. For that, we invented what we call nowadays deep linking. Now, the different channels that we use deep linking with, whether those are paid ads. So for example, if you go to Instagram and you see an ad for something, you click on that, you want to reach to the actual page of that specific content of the ad you saw within the app. Emails, so if you are registered for a certain retail company and you get a promotion on your Gmail account and you want to go to that activity instead of going to mobile web and then having to log in and do all of that, we use deep linking for that. Same with within the app banners, internal promotions for certain activities in the app itself, referrals, QR code, which are the offline version of linking, and social upload and download of different type of activities. Now, with the deep linking of Branch, you can either go directly to the app if you have the app already installed. If you don't have the app installed, you can go through the App Store, you can download it, install it, and if the brand which is using us is using the third link, once you open the app for the first time, you will actually land on where you were intended to land originally, as in content-wise, whether it was a promotion or certain article. The same is if you go to a website and you open the website, and within the website there's a promotion for the app, you can download through the App Store or send even an SMS to your device that will open the app in your device or the App Store, where you can download and go directly to the actual content. And the whole concept of deep linking is to make the user journey as smooth and comfortable as possible. Now, when we look at the attribution part of it in the next slide, the concept of utilizing deep linking, especially with Branch, with all these different channels rather than just ads, is basically to first of all accelerate your top line install rates. So understand where the user are coming from, fill in your blind spot with the attribution that you don't usually get in traditional MMPs, and remove duplicated installs. So you really get, as a marketer, a breakdown of your users and installs and in-app event came from each channel. Now, some of the benefits of deep linking is if you use, for example, banners within your own app, as in you can create different type of linking within to promote special content or product, that will definitely optimize your conversions. You can personalize using what we call smart banners, personalize like promotions within the app and send your user to activate on that, which really increases the conversion or even revenue within the app purchase. And then you basically creating a more engaging activity for your user inside and outside of the app, and that support your retention plan, which we are seeing a lot with some of our clients who are coming from the commerce or retail industry or even the food industry. It really helps them to build brand awareness and engagement with their users.
And in terms of where OneSignal comes into play here, it would be your omni-channel experience. So of course, your email, SMS, and push messages can obviously SMS and email will contain deep links that users would be interacting and clicking on potentially, and SMS would be opening one that would be configured when you're setting up a push message. Now, not listed here, but also important would be in-app messaging, because when users open the app, you may want to display an in-app message where users see that, and that in turn will have one or even multiple deep links that will take users to the appropriate place based on how they interact with that message. And that's something that's really important, because it's not just getting messages in front of users, it's actually getting them to where they need to go so they have that really great experience. So of course, that's going to increase engagement, retention, but also conversions, because sometimes these links are tied to a transaction or a purchase or an abandoned cart. So all of those touch points are really important and something that you can really take action on. And important from OneSignal, that nice with our journeys, that key feature is you're able to record how users have previously interacted with messages, and that in turn also will be reflected on where the deep link took them within the app, within the website, so then you can react on that or follow up with other channels that maybe they would interact better with if they prefer email over push. Those are some key values that you're going to want to take advantage of to really get your message in front of users and approach them where they are and how they're best going to engage with your experience. Now, a really important note here, and one use case that we see over and over again is enhanced user boarding with deep links, user onboarding. Onboarding, of course, is super critical. It's when you first see your potential customers and you want to activate them, you want to get them to create an account. Maybe you're trying to gather more information from them. So, regardless of which channel you're engaging them with, you want to get them again to the right place so you understand where they are, present them with the right experience, and make that as seamless as possible. So those are some highlights from there, but we're going to talk about now replacing Firebase dynamic links. And Itay, I'll let you dive right into that.
Yes, so as probably a lot of you are already aware that Google have decided to terminate the usage of the Firebase cloud messaging from 2024. And following that, they're also planning to deprecate and shut down all of their dynamic links. Basically, all of the concept of deep linking by Google and Firebase is going to disappear. And some people might find it scary, some people might be alert of it, but there is a cover for everything, and there's a lot of companies, including us and others, who can support with that. Now, what it means when we're talking about the termination of the cloud messaging, that means potential slower messaging delivery, meaning if you've been utilizing that, you should look into a solution such as OneSignal in order to replace that. A lot of engineering effort because you need to suddenly replace that solution from your app, so SDKs and APIs. And if they do nothing at all as in users, notification will stop at all for around July 2024. So this is the perfect time to start review the different solutions, including OneSignal. And when working with us, it's easy as non-technical teams to implement it, as in once your developers implement OneSignal, you can also implement our SDKs very easily for both the messaging and the deep linking. Speed of delivery of OneSignal is next to none. Sharing deep links, where we have an integration that can just create deep links from the OneSignal platform and already start doing creation of those, and leverage the omnichannel approach, which is exactly what I've showed earlier in the slide, where you can actually see the different channels and how you can measure and create activities around that. Now, Branch and Firebase, we have a lot of similarities when it comes to the deep linking, but Firebase dynamic links have quite a lot of limitations. Where you look at the different comparison, branch deep links make it much easier to handle the complexity of linking across multiple channels, and also through different platforms such as iOS and Android. It's a reliable linking attribution for paid, owned, and organic channels. Web to app banners, deep linking, emails, QR codes, SCI, connected TV, paid ads, we cover all of them. Email integration through OneSignal and others, and we have more and more products. So these are just a few of the things that Firebase could have never answered for, where we already have the solution. And following that, one of the best that were with Firebase was their platform. It was an easy to manage platform. And with that being said, Branch is now launching a brand new product called Linkhub. Linkhub is basically our own management platform where you can allow a user to easily organize all of your deep linking in one place. You can review them, you can create templates, you can create quick links or advertising links and share them. You can utilize this platform for bulk uploads and editing, and also analytics. And if we click on the slide, I think we have a few more. Yeah, there you go. So we can add all of the quick and add links control, create templates, as in if you want to have a differentiation between your social links or your email links as such, and create templates for easy access and creation, standardized links in box, and link level analytics where you can just review all of that there. If anyone wants to hear more about that, you can feel free to reach out to me afterwards.
Cool, thanks, Ite. So we've come to the question and answer section. Love to take on any questions that are out there and dive into that.
Cool, so we have one question. If I use deep link with an influencer, how do I track paid subs? So there are many ways to go around that. There are also many companies that can support you with that. So there are networks for influencers who can create multiple channels or campaigns with specific links, deep links for each influencer. When it comes to the actual sub affiliates, there are different ways to add macros to follow up on that, but you need to have that activity in advance with those different brands. Also, to build trust, how can the influencer track themselves? That depends on the channel. So if they're running through different channels, they will have that activity with them. The brands that actually work with us, with the influencer, can then share some of the results and insights with the influencers.
So it looks like we have a question for OneSignal. How easy is it to use branch deep links in OneSignal? Are there any limitations? It's actually really easy. Of course, when we're talking about push notifications, it's simply the link that you copy in. The cool thing with, of course, you're just going to get that from branch and paste it into the definition of that. It also could be automated if you're doing it via the API. You'd be grabbing it from, branch in the appropriate manner. It can be copied into email, SMS just as easily. So it's very seamless. And it's something that I ultimately would want our product team to add maybe some branded experience to, hook that in, which would be a nice little expansion of our relationship with Branch, as I can, insert that for our product team, because that was something that'd be nice so people really understand the value and understand that, because I think a lot of people don't understand what the deep links are doing, and there's confusion around that, and that's something that would add a lot of value, but it's really easy to leverage from OneSignal's perspective.
There's a question for Branch. Does Branch require an SDK to be installed on the target app in order to go to a specific screen or context? So yes. The way that we work is you need to implement our SDK, which are a free and open SDK, where you can find them on our developer page within the website. Open SDK, you need to install them in order for us to basically be able to track activity within the app. As I mentioned earlier, each app has their own walled garden, their own protocols, and the whole concept of the attribution is to understand where it came from to the app. And we can control that by the deep linking, but we need to have the SDK implemented in the app itself in order to be able to track that activity.
I guess a follow-up on that, that's for mobile apps specifically, but also websites, but not for SMS or email, obviously, right? That people are able to click and it would route them accordingly. Maybe touch upon a little bit like the experience. If I'm clicking on it from an email or an SMS, for those use cases, what can users expect if you walk through that scenario, maybe?
So there are multiple scenarios that can happen. best example is, and I will not name brands, but for example, a very known coffee brand that sell capsules for their machines. I don't know which one. I'm an advocate user of them. I have their machine and I buy a lot of coffee from them. And I get a lot of promotions to my email. So, and usually I'm on the go, so I open my Gmail, I see the promotion and I click on it. Now, my current experience with it is very annoying because I have the app and I buy the capsules from the app, but they are not using deep linking and they're not a client of ours. Which what happens is I click on the link and I go to the web app version of it, where I need to re-register, insert all of my details in order to be to accept the offer, basically. And personally, that kind of annoys me, and I don't end up purchasing through the promotion. Later on, I get home, I open the website, and I do it from my laptop. But it's kind of annoying. A different example, if they would have to use deep linking, I would have click on the promotion link, go straight to the app, straight to the page of the promotion has now been applicable for your user, choose what capsules you want to buy and purchase immediately. And that would have been an amazing user experience, and I would probably buy a lot of capsules because of that. Because of those promotions, and I always get annoyed that I miss out on most of those promotions because of it. And this is something that we're seeing with a lot of brands, especially in commerce and retails and others, as in any brand that is utilizing promotions and channels other than paid ads to communicate with their users, to engage with them or retain them through retargeting of users that haven't been active for a while. Without those deep linking, you're basically breaking that user experience and you're losing potential revenue. So by utilizing deep linking now, and this is on Gmail example, SMSs, if someone is sharing a link from one friend to another, of, for example, a very large music app that you want to share a song with someone, you share that to him. If through WhatsApp, which is also, if you think of it, another walled garden app, if you're not able to open that link directly in the app, directly in the content, that is a broken user experience. And that's where, OneSignal with the push and delivery platform together with our deep linking solve that issue.
Yeah, which is great. So the user clicks on it, it takes them to the appropriate place, which has the product. It may have a promotional code. All that will be embedded into the experience. And I imagine too, within Branch, you'll see the analytics for that as well. So you can understand the attribution, how things are tracking, which is great, where OneSignal will give you the click-through rate, and Branch kind of fills out that. Looks like there's another question for both of us, which you can take on. So do you still need to use Firebase when using OneSignal and Branch, or can we do without Firebase? So just from a high level, of course, I can take that on from OneSignal's perspective. So Firebase, of course, is the company and technology that Google bought and then kind of added products and used that as a brand for their messaging and user authentication and mobile, tool platform as a service suite, if you will. And so you don't need Firebase as such, but ultimately to send push messages through to Android devices, you are technically using Google's API, which some people refer to as Firebase, and with the FCM, more modern ways of authenticating that token to send the message. So technically you're still messaging and using Google's API because they own that last mile from that notification that you send to the actual devices out in the wild. So you don't necessarily need to interface, but you still log into the Firebase dashboard to get credentials that you would provide to OneSignal in order to enable push, and then you have you get the push tokens, and it's the public key that works with signing and encrypting messages, so you have follow the security protocols from the OneSignal side.
Yeah, and from the branch side and deep linking, the answer is basically it depends. It depends which side of Firebase, because Firebase has multiple platforms or multiple solutions. If we're talking about the dynamic links of Firebase, no, you don't have to use it, because it usually would be either a Firebase dynamic link or a branch link. If you're talking about the messaging, so yes, very much as Trig mentioned, but honestly, you can just replace Firebase with us and OneSignal.
Yeah.
Branch. Oh, sorry, you were saying?
Well, go ahead. You can read the question from Branch. For Branch.
Got it. So will Branch Deep Link work with Huawei? Yes. It's simple as that. So the platform itself, the operating system or the manufacturer, it depends on the apps. So we don't, the deep linking doesn't necessarily work or operate within the manufacturer as much as it within the apps, unless the manufacturer somehow have a very specific blockage for branch links, which I don't think that happens, because the movement is between one app to the other. So if you have on Huawei, you have music apps, you have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have WhatsApp and other commercial brands. As long as those brands work with us, it can work.
Yeah, I guess from a technical perspective, I guess the question, like, what platform limitations are there, right? Because we have iOS, we have Android, we have web, and ultimately those are the SDKs that I imagine that Branch has. You know, are there any limitations around that?
Yeah. Okay, we have another one here. Is Branch supported hybrid apps that rely on Cordova plugin, for example, OutSystems, since there is supported Cordova plugin for OneSignal with OutSystem? I will be honest and I will say that I don't know, because that question is a bit more technical for my position, but I'm happy, Trig, if you have any idea on the plugin with the OneSignal and Cordova or OutSystem, I'll leave that to you.
Yeah, so I think it ultimately depends that Branch, I'd have to look on it, has any wrapper, you know, because typically those are, you know, one of two ways that those work, where you have a wrapper around the native SDK, which oftentimes we have. So if it's Cordova or some JavaScript library that is wrapping our, you know, there's some wrapper technology that they've written that wraps our SDK. And so ultimately, when we send a push notification, for example, we send it to the device, which is a native app. Ultimately, it was maybe written in, you know, JavaScript with using Cordova, for example, and then when it arrives, it's still ultimately using the operating system's functions to open a link. So I'm sure it probably does. If it doesn't, then someone could create wrappers that do wrap the native SDKs depending on what we have. So we've invested heavily in OneSignal to create, you know, corresponding technology to easily integrate with the different platforms that are out there. Everything from, you know, Cordova, React, and, you know, all the native ones, Unity, and so on and so forth. But ultimately, it's when it comes to opening the deep link, it's just a system call that's opening that link. So if the corresponding SDK is there, it can handle that appropriately. So I think we could double check on Branch, you know, and I'm probably sure they do handle that. The only question would be is if it's like a, you know, PWA or just a website that's running on the, you know, then it would obviously just be JavaScript that, of course, that would work. Yeah, we could probably dive and follow up if needed on that front.
See another question for us. How do non-developers actually create and set the desired end location app for deep linking in Branch? So very simple. So our platform is built for both app developers and marketers. There's a lot of different ways that you can create quick links, which you just need the end location within the app. That usually from whoever built the app, whoever built the page of, for example, you're launching now a new I don't know, jumper, and you want to promote that specifically within your app, the person that created that page will give you the link for that, and that is just the uplink, not a deep link. And you upload that to the branch platform. There's a quick link type of creation where that basically wraps up that that end location and immediately creates a link for you that you will then share with either your ad network supplier, your upload to the Facebook activity, or share that with OneSignal or for email activity, SMS or push. I hope that answers all of the questions that we have.
Great. I guess that's all we have time for. So appreciate everyone's time. Appreciate everyone joining. Hopefully you got some value out of our time today, and look forward to future webinars.
Cheers. Thank you very much for having me.